You walk out the house, dap up the same car you've been dapping up since the kids were in car seats. Same dent on the back bumper from that grocery cart at the Kroger. Same little squeak in the driver's side door you stopped hearing about 4 years ago. Your boy at work just rolled up in something new last month and made a joke about your odometer. You laughed. You also did the math in your head while you laughed. I'm Franklin, and today we're sitting with the black Gen X man who has driven the same car for 10 years straight. Because what looks like stubbornness from the outside is one of the smartest money moves happening in this country right now. And most people clowning them can't afford to clown anybody. Start with the thing nobody factors in when they tease you about that car. The average vehicle on American roads right now is 12.8 years old. That's a record set in 2025, tracked by S&P Global Mobility. Passenger cars specifically, the average is 14.5 years. So when you pull up in a 2014 anything, you're not the weird one, you're the median. You're standard issue American driver. The dude with the brand new lease payment is the outlier. He just happens to be the loud outlier in your group chat. But that's the surface. The real story is what's happening between your ears every time you turn that key. There's a calculation running in the background, and it's been running for years. It runs when the check engine light comes on. It runs when your wife mentions her cousin just got something new. It runs when you see a commercial during the game, and the answer always comes back the same. Keep the car. Let me show you why the math agrees with you, even when your knees don't. The average new car payment in this country hit $767 a month at the end of 2025. That's per LendingTree. $767 every month for somewhere between 5 and 7 years, and that's the average. Almost 19% of new car loans now come with a payment over $1,000 a month. 1 in 5 new car buyers is signing up for a 4-figure monthly bill just to sit in traffic on the same highway you sit in. It gets worse. The average loan amount on a new vehicle is now over $42,000. In the second quarter of 2025, 22% of new car buyers stretched their loan out to 84 months. 7 years. 7 years of payments on something that loses value the second you drive it off the lot. AAA ran the numbers for 2025. The total cost to own and operate a new vehicle, when you add up depreciation, insurance, gas, maintenance, finance charges, all of it, comes out to $11,577 a year. That's about $964 a month, every month, to own a new car. Depreciation alone eats $4,334 a year. Now flip the page. Your paid-off car. What does it cost you to keep it running? Consumer Reports tracked this a few years back. The average 12-month repair and maintenance cost for a 10-year-old vehicle came in around $430. $430 a year. Not a month, a year. Even when you have a bigger fix, AAA puts average maintenance closer to $1,452 a year once you're getting into real parts replacement. You are still nowhere near $11,500. You could rebuild your transmission for $1,200 to $5,000 and still come out ahead of 1 year of new car ownership. The break-even point, the spot where it actually makes sense to give up on your car, is when annual repairs consistently top $3,000 to $4,000. Consistently. Not one bad month. Not the year you needed new tires and a timing belt at the same time. Consistently, year after year, $3,000 to $4,000. Most 10-year-old cars driven by a man who actually takes care of them never hit that number. So when your coworker laughs at the squeak in your door, what he's really laughing at is the fact that you've kept thousands of dollars a year in your pocket while he handed it to a dealership. Call it stubbornness if you want. He's the one who missed out on a raise. Why does this specific math hit different for a black Gen X man? Because the cushion isn't there. The NCRC, working off the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, put median black household net worth at $44,100. Median white household net worth, $284,310. The median amount a black household has sitting in checking and savings combined, about $2,200. $2,200 between you and a problem. Sit with that for a second. The dude making a $767 a month car payment on the average new car. If he's pulling from a $2,200 cushion, he is one transmission away from a real emergency. One layoff, one roof leak, one kid needing braces. He doesn't have margin. He has a payment. You, on the other hand, sitting on that paid-off Camry or that paid-off Tahoe, or that paid-off Maxima, you have margin. The car isn't draining the account every month. The car is doing its job and shutting up. And in a household where the median checking and savings sits at about $2,200, the man who refuses to add a $1,000 a month obligation to his life is the man keeping his family afloat. That's the whole game. Here's where it gets interesting, because the money is only half of why you keep that car. The other half is happening in a place psychologists have a name for, and once you hear the name, you'll never look at your car the same way again. It's called autobiographical anchoring. Sounds fancy. It just means the car has become a container for your life. Your daughter's first car seat went in that back seat. You drove your mama to her chemo appointments in that car. You got the call about your promotion sitting in that driver's seat in the Home Depot parking lot. You drove home from the hospital in that car the day your son was born. The dent on the bumper has a story. The stain on the passenger seat has a story. The crack in the dashboard from that summer you parked in the sun too long, that's a story too. A survey AutoTrader ran found that more than 70% of car owners feel attached to their vehicle. 36% describe their car as an old friend. An old friend, not a possession, a friend. There's a second piece of behavioral economics that locks it in, something called the endowment effect. It says people value things more once they own them. Once a thing is yours, parting with it costs more, emotionally, than acquiring something new would gain you. That's why the dealer's trade-in offer always feels insulting, because in your head, your car is worth what it's worth to you, not what it's worth on Kelley Blue Book. Stack autobiographical anchoring on top of the endowment effect, and you've got a man being protective of 10 years of his own life. Trading it in feels like throwing away the receipt for the decade you just lived. That hits different for Gen X specifically. An Autolist study, the one MediaPost covered, found Gen X is about 10 percentage points more likely than millennials to plan on keeping a vehicle 10 years or more. Gen X prioritizes reliability over newness, over flash, over status. You came up watching the grown folks around you drive cars into the ground. You watched your uncle keep that Cutlass running through 3 presidencies. The pattern was already in your head before you bought your first car. Hold what you have. Make it last. Don't hand money to a stranger if you don't have to. Layer in something else. Access to credit. LendingTree found that 51% of Black credit applicants in 2024 were either denied or approved for less than they asked for. More than half. 13% of Black Americans are unbanked entirely. So when the average Gen X Black man thinks about walking into a dealership, he's not just thinking about the test drive. He's thinking about the financing office. He's thinking about the rate they're going to quote him versus the rate they'd quote somebody else. He's thinking about the subprime tier and what it adds to that $767 average. Subprime borrowers are paying the highest averages in the country right now. So the calculation in his head is, do I want a new car, knowing the deal I'm going to get walking in there is probably worse than the deal the guy in front of me gets? Knowing the payment is going to eat into a cushion I don't really have? Knowing the car I already own runs fine? Knowing my mechanic knows this car better than he knows his own kids? Call that paranoia if you want. It's pattern recognition built up over 30 years of paying attention. And so you keep the car. Here's where it gets even smarter, and this is the part nobody gives him credit for. He's not just keeping the car, he's learning the car. Year 3, you learn the sounds. Year 5, you learn when the brakes need to come in for service before the indicator lights up. Year 7, you've got a guy. Not a shop, a guy. A guy who knows what year it is, what mileage you're at, what you replaced last time, what's coming due. Year 10, you can diagnose a noise from the driveway before you even turn it on. That knowledge is worth money. Every time you walk into a shop and you can describe the sound, the conditions, when it happens, when it doesn't, you save yourself the diagnostic fee. You save yourself the upsell. You save yourself the panic decision. The dude with the new car, he has no idea what's normal. Every noise is a crisis. Every light is a tow. He's at the mercy of whoever has the keys. You're driving a car you understand. There's something else going on inside the house that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. When the car is paid off, the family decisions get easier. You can say yes to the summer camp. You can say yes to the school trip. You can put a little extra in the kid's savings account. You can take your wife somewhere without checking the account 3 times first. That $767 a month you're not paying isn't sitting in a vacuum. It's showing up as breathing room everywhere else in your life. As, we can do that. As, go ahead and get it. as, "Don't worry about it." That's the part the new car guy doesn't see when he's clowning you in the parking lot. He sees a dent. You see a vacation you took last summer that he had to pass on. Now let's be honest about the other side, because no calculation is one-sided. There is a point where you're holding on too long. There's a point where the math flips. When the repairs hit that consistent 3,000 to 4,000 a year, when major systems start going, and AAA flags the 90,000 to 120,000 mile window as the stretch where major part failures start clustering, you've got to be willing to look at the numbers honestly. A timing belt is 600 to 1,000. That's still cheap. An engine rebuild at 1,200 to 5,000, still cheaper than a new car. But 3 of those in a row in 18 months, that's the car telling you something. The black Gen X man who's driven the same car for 10 years is actually really good at math. So when the day comes that the math says move on, he's going to move on. He's just not going to do it a day earlier than he has to. He's not going to do it because somebody at work clowned him. He's not going to do it because the commercial during the game made the new model look pretty. He's going to do it when the spreadsheet in his head says it's time. Here's the quiet truth underneath all of it. The reason he runs the calculations so tight, the reason he holds on so long, the reason he reads every dashboard light like it's a court summons, it's because nobody is coming to bail him out if he gets the call wrong. There's no inheritance check waiting to cover the mistake. There's no parent who can spot him the down payment. The $2,200 in checking is the safety net. He is the safety net. His wife is the safety net. The paid-off car is part of how the safety net stays intact. So when you see a man your age, black, around 50, pulling up in a car that's clearly seen some years, don't read it as he can't afford better. Read it as he chose better. He chose the thousands of dollars a year he's not spending. He chose the cushion. He chose the freedom to say yes to his kids. He chose to keep the car that drove his mother to her last doctor's appointment because that car means something the dealership can't price. The man with the 10-year-old car has been ahead the whole time. He just doesn't need anybody to know it. Before you click off, let me give you one more layer, because somebody watching is the wife, the daughter, the nephew of the man I just described, and you've been the one rolling your eyes at his car for years. This part is for you. When he won't trade it in, he's not being cheap with you. He's not punishing the family. He's not stuck in his ways because his daddy was stuck in his ways. He's running a risk model the people around him usually don't see. He came up watching folks lose everything one bad decision at a time. He watched a cousin get upside down on a car note and never recover. He watched a coworker get repoed and have to ride the bus to a job that paid $40,000 a year. He watched his own pops work overtime to cover a car payment that didn't need to exist. Those are the case studies in his head. That's the data set he's pulling from. So when he says the car runs fine, what he's actually saying is, I've already done the math. I've already considered what you're suggesting, and the answer is no. And I love you. And the answer is still no. Hear it as protection. He's standing between the household and an $11,577 a year decision that nobody in the house actually needs to make. Here's something else worth saying out loud. The guy with the 10-year-old car is often the same guy who's got the 401k going, the life insurance paid up, the will at least started, and a little something put away the family doesn't even know about. The discipline isn't just car-shaped. The discipline is everywhere. The car is the part you can see from the driveway. The rest of it is happening on bank statements nobody's looking at. That's why this matters. We live in a country where the median black household is sitting on around $44,000 in total net worth, and the median white household is sitting on roughly $285,000, and that gap got wider during the pandemic, not smaller. Brookings tracked it. The wealth gap widened by about $50,000 in that stretch. In that environment, every man who refuses to add $1,000 a month payment to his life is doing real, measurable, household-level wealth building. Not the kind that gets posted on Instagram, the kind that shows up 20 years later when the kid goes to college without loans, or the house gets paid off 5 years early, or retirement actually happens at 65 instead of 72. That's legacy work, done quietly. Done in a 2014 Honda Accord with 187,000 miles on it and a CD still stuck in the player from 2018. So the next time you see him out there, dapping up his car in the driveway before he leaves for work, give the man his respect. He's the reason the lights are on. He's the reason the cushion exists. He's the reason the family gets to breathe. The dashboard light comes on. He checks it. The payment goes up. He keeps driving. The boys at work clown him. He laughs along. And every month that goes by, the gap between his bank account and theirs gets a little wider in his favor. Quietly, steadily, the way Gen X does everything. That's the whole thing. The video on the screen, go ahead and tap it.